Hello, people. Guess who's back? Back again. It's Red Chaos here. And after a very, very long sabbatical, I am here to give you that web fiction fix that you have been aching for so long. So relax, take a seat
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
as I take you on a wild trip through the secret history of fanfiction. Remember to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment. It really helps my little channel fight against the algorithm. Oh, and just one more thing. This video is brought to you by
Pfizer.
I'm just kidding. It's actually brought to you by my new web novel. Yes, I started a new one from the ground up. I know most of the time I've been advertising the old one, but I got rid of the old one because this is just mainly a real life. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Okay, so my new web novel, Wari Saga, is currently exclusively on Royal Road Legends. So I just recently started posting there, and I would very much like to support any feedback that you can give me on it. And yeah, so now what do 50 Shades of Grey, The Divine Comedy, and basically half of Shakespeare's plays all have in common? They are all fanfiction. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Red, that's cringe. Fanfiction is just drivel written by angsty teens about Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy making out whilst Ron Weasley watches in the corner. And I know that simply boiling down these literary classics to simple fanfiction is a gross oversimplification of them, but let's have some fun here, okay? And look, you're not wrong. You are definitely not wrong. All of the slash and pairings and characters making out, that is a massive part of what fanfiction is. But the idea of taking characters and worlds we love and writing our own stories for them, that impulse is as old as the art of storytelling itself. When the first caveman etched his painting upon a wall of a hunt that he had just told everyone about at the campfire, he woke up the next day to find that his neighbor Gringag had made his own legally distinct, well, to be honest, most of them aren't even legally distinct, his own copy. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad. So today, we're diving into the deep, wild, and surprisingly revolutionary history of fanfiction. So, before we had such things as copyright law, which is a relatively new invention, authors straight up copied each other all the goddamn time. Shakespeare, a total fanfic writer. Romeo and Juliet, that was a retelling of a popular play by Arthur Brooks. Hamlet, based on an Old Norse legend that is usually referred to as the Hamlet, and another play that has now been lost by Thomas Kyde. Basically, old Shakespeare saw a story he liked and said, I can do better. And boom, history. But the all-time greatest example? Dante Alighieri, the OG spite bashfic author himself. You see, in 1320, old Dante wrote something called the Divine Comedy, and it is literally a Bible fanfic. Think about it. It's a self-insert where Dante, is the main character. He brings his OC, Beatrice, based off a real person, by the way, as his idealized love interest. And of course, like every angsty teen author, he makes sure that everyone he does not like is burning in literal hell. And it's also a real person fiction, or RPF, and I did not know most of these terms, so I'm having to double check off the script. Anyway, it's a real person fanfic, or RPF, because his guide through purgatory is his idol, his plus one, his main man, the Roman poet Virgil. He was writing fanfiction of the Bible, and his favorite classical author at the same time, and everyone he did not like is burning in hell. Dante is an OG. Even later in the 19th century, you have people writing unofficial sequels to Alice in Wonderland. Like, this is the first time I was even hearing about most of this stuff. Like, let's look at this for example. One called A New Alice in Wonderland by Anna M. Richards, which was published in 1895, which saw a wholly original character named Alice Lee going to Wonderland. Tell me that is not the description of a current day fanfic. An OC goes through the entire adventure, who is basically just the main character but with a different name. And you had others like Ladies in Grammarland from 1897. Jesus. H.G. Wells, of the Time Machine's fame, his story, The Time Machine, had some of these as well. Like, for example, La Belle Valence in 1923. And shocking of all, the second Sherlock Holmes story ever published was a parody written by J.M. Barrie, the guy who created Peter freaking Pan. For God's sake, listen to some of these stories that were written by J.M. Barrie. Listen to the titles. My Evening with Sherlock Holmes from 1891 and The Late Sherlock Holmes from 1893. So like fanfics or derivative works, unofficial derivative works, are as old as writing itself. But none of this stuff resembles what you and I today consider actual fanfiction. For us to do that, we need to go to the 1960s. The 1960s, when Star Trek was making history. This is the moment. This is where, like the One Ring forged in Mount Doom, the modern fandom was forged and birthed upon the world, for all the good and evil that is done. So fans weren't just watching the show, they were interacting with it. They published fanzines, homemade, photocopied magazines where they mailed each other or sell at conventions, and the first one, Spokenamelia. Really? Spokenamelia? In 1967, had what we could recognize as the first modern fanfic. And here's the most important part. This community was overwhelmingly built by women. By 1973, 90% of the Star Trek fanfic authors were female. Think about it. Mainstream TV in the 60s and the 70s wasn't particularly known for its deep emotional portrayals of men or its complex roles for women. So these fans picked up their pens and fixed it in their own way. They wrote stories that expanded the universe, that explored the characters in their lives, their psychology, and yes, their relationships, because who doesn't look at William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and thinks to themselves, these two should be dating. This is where we get the terms shipping, and specifically Kirk/Spock, or KS, becoming the genesis of /fiction, stories focusing on same-sex relationships. These women were exploring themes of intimacy and partnership that TV definitely wasn't going to touch. It's thanks to the Star Trek community that in 1973, Paula Smith, in her parody at Trekkie's Tale, introduced the world to the term Mary Sue, much to the joy of internet discourse throughout history. Fanfiction became this space, mostly for women, to fill in the gaps and tell stories they wanted to see. And then the internet happened, and everything changed. No more memographs and stamps. Suddenly you could share your story with anyone, anywhere, instantly. First, we got the archives. In 1998, fanfiction.net launched. It was, and still is, a massive, giant, automated library. But it was also restricted. It had a bunch of rules, most notably, No explicit comment, so no smut. No horny allowed. And which really tells me if you've been around fanfic authors, 90% of most people are just horny, so that probably didn't go well. So, where did the community go to talk? LiveJournal. LiveJournal was a blogging site, but it became the beating heart of the fandom in the early 2000s. It wasn't just an archive, it was a community. You had your own journal, you joined the comms for your fandoms, you had discussions, you shared art, and you could post your beloved smut. Everything was great until 2007. The incident known as strike through or bolt through. You see, LiveJournal, in a PR fiasco because people don't like good things, decided to clean house. They started deleting and banning hundreds of journals without warning for impermissible content. This purge disproportionately hit fandom journals, especially those writing slash or discussing complex themes. Rape survivor groups were deleted. Like, the fandoms felt targeted, betrayed, and kind of homeless. So what did the fandoms do? Well, the same thing it always done. It built its own damn house with smut and hookers. In 2008, the Organization for Transformative Works, a non-profit organization run by fans, created Archive for Our Own, or AO3. AO3 was revolutionary. It was built by fans for fans. No ads, no donations, no world-class tagging systems, and a fierce principled commitment to hosting all fun content. From the fluffiest of the fluff to the darkest dark fics that will give you traumatic really if you swam in the worst of AO3, as I have done recently for this video. My god. Like, people think Game of Thrones is dark. There are things there. I have seen things. So, in the war for the soul of the fandoms, AO3 kind of won, which is why today is a place to be. Like, most of the fics, the most well-known, you will find them on AO3. So, fandom had its home, but the secret was about to get out in a big way. You all know this one. It's kind of a Twilight fic called Master of the Universe. So it gets posted online. It's an AU or alternate universe where Bella is a college student and Edward is a billionaire CEO. Now, where have I heard that before? The author E.O. James files off the serial numbers for her story, changes a few names here and there to Anna and Christian Grey, and publishes it as 50 Shades of Grey, or as my friends used to call it, 50 Shades of Filth. But then my friends are mainly guys, so the things we joke about might not be that sensitive. Anyway, the rest is, well, it's history. Like, she made a buck ton of money, and it wasn't a one-off. Then we go to After, the movie series. Now, After, the movie series started as a One Direction RPF, real person fiction, a direct descendant of Dante's Divine Comedy. I'm sure he'd be proud. So it started on Wattpad, and I kind of have a video about it, like, shameless plug, go check it out. Then you have other stuff like the Love Hypothesis. That was a Star Wars Raylo fic. Cassandra Clare's Mortal Instrument series grew out of her legendary Draco trilogy from the Harry Potter fandom. This pull to publisher pipeline is kind of controversial. Some fans hate it. Some authors are not big fans of it as well. Like Anne Rice and J.R.R. Martin are famously strongly against fanfics. But others like J.K. Rowling are flattered, or Orson Scott Card used to hate it, but now he kind of said every piece of fanfiction is an ad for my book, so like, what kind of idiot would I be to want it to disappear? Which honestly just proves what fans have known all along. Look, it's easy to make fun of fanfiction. God knows that I've had to fight the urge to do so throughout this entire thing. But at the end of the day, it's not just about what if two characters kissed. But let's be real, though, that's kind of the most important part about it. Fanfiction is a writer's incubator. It's a place where you can play, practice, and get instant feedback from a pre-invested audience. It's a crash course in character motivation, plot, and pacing. As author Naomi Novik said, it's why people do writing exercises or play scales. More than that, it's a community. It's a way to find your imaginative family. It's a way for people, especially women, especially queer fans, to take stories that often ignore them or sideline them and rewrite them. And it's kind of beautiful.